Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back to Canes on Deck on a Wednesday night. I mean, listen, you're lucky you got us on the show. You're lucky you got us doing the show, but there was no way we weren't going to do one, considering all the news, everything that's going around. As you might know already,
I mean, I
the
assume you know if you're if
if
you're
you don't
watching.
know, I don't know what to tell you,
Yeah,
man. You need to get out of that rock, but get out under that rock. But Miami Hurricanes baseball program has clinched their what is it 13th Super Regional,
yeah,
first one since 2016 by beating University of Southern Mississippi on Monday night in the winner take home. Basically, the game
yeah,
seven. It's literally the game seven
yeah. It's a game seven.
of the regional over in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Vish was there on the call, had all the had everything that was going down in Hattiesburg, and was also very upset that he didn't get in until 2 o'clock last night from the flight.
Well, look, I mean, I was the lucky one because our friend CCH did make it on that flight, and they got stuck. So I haven't actually checked in this morning. So we eventually got back like literally like flight leaving this morning. They pushed the flight he was on back to this morning, so he got stuck. So could have been worse. Could have been worse.
Well, I know the team flew out today too. I think it was planned that way, but they flew out and they flew. I believe they flew directly
Yeah,
to
they went straight
Louisville.
to Louisville. They didn't come back
Yeah,
here.
which is smart. Very exciting. By the way, very exciting show today. We're gonna have Will Smith on at some point, and maybe another player or two. I know they're getting their things, uh, settled in over in
And they're a
Louisville a
little
little bit.
busy. They got some stuff they're working through. So a little busy,
But
feels.
I'm really excited. There's nobody better to have on the show than ASAP Willie over there, as his Twitter tag is. But really excited about that. We'll talk to him in a little bit about his what he did, his amazing, incredible. I don't know what adjectives, verbs, and nouns you want to use to describe
Well,
his.
we're gonna go through the four games the Canes played, but
His
he and
performance was
several of the other
dynamite.
pitchers stepped up big time. Stepped up big time. We definitely
Absolutely.
get it. We had some amazing pitching performances this weekend. Will Smith certainly one of them.
Great. It was something that look, he's a spark plug on that team. So and I know we'll get into it, but he kind of makes that team go sometimes, and we're really excited to have him on. So we'll talk about that a little bit. But if you want, maybe what we can do is we can start off kind of breaking down the regional a little bit, Vish. Before we get Will or anybody else on, let's talk a little bit about that regional. Started off Blue Hattiesburg was in the same environment. Hey,
Yeah.
listen, Blue, whoever you are, Blue. By the way, big shout out to Larry Bluestein. We miss him. We'll see him soon on our football show. But Blue, yeah, I heard the environment was crazy. Vish, you were there. You were on the grounds. What was it like to be in Hattiesburg?
Yeah, so I was inoculated a little bit. So like I will say their press setup is like enclosed in glass that is partially soundproof. So you don't hear all this stuff. But yeah, it got especially Sunday night and into Monday got heated. Obviously, we didn't play I guess we can walk through the game as part of that talk to this. So obviously,
Right.
we opened with Alabama. Jumped out early, Cuvade, and it was 3-0. That one, it's still, I think, for him, and I think the interesting thing with him is, earlier in the year he was struggling a little bit, maybe over swinging. He is seeing the ball and striking it so well that his home runs don't even look like home runs. He just hits it so hard they carry. Because when he hits that, I'm like, because it's basically me and if y'all know Justice Sandal from SI, we're the only two Miami media like in the press box, and everyone else is Southern Miss or in this case Alabama. And I'm like, right when he hit, I was like, that's gone, and no one else thought it was gone. It just carried out because he hits the ball. So I'm like, nope, that with
Well,
Cuvée makes that kind of contact, it's gone.
he hits a ball to right field better than anybody in the
Yeah.
country. He has the most power I've ever seen.
It's so effortless that like I was like, nope, that's gone. That's gonna go over the fence because Cuvée hit it. When Cuvée makes contact like that, it goes over the fence, and that obviously got the Canes started on the right foot. And then, and then it was AJ Siskar was brilliant, and that the Canes obviously needed to win that game to get going. But what were your thoughts on that Alabama game and kind of how that unfolded? Because obviously the Canes jumped out, Bama made a run at them, and it ended up getting very, very nervy on the last play of the game there. But
Well, I'll tell you what. I think that to me, the most important thing for this Canes team as a whole is to get started quickly, right? To get on top quick, and that kind of sets the pace. We've seen it all season long. When the Canes go down early, it's hard for them to get back on top or to even win the ball game. There was a number out there that the commentator pointed out where if the Canes are winning after the seventh inning, I think if they're up after the seventh inning, they were like 25-1 before that game. And that's what you have to do. Well, first of all, that's important in baseball, is to get out ahead early and stay on top and build that lead. And now you can play a little bit different style of baseball. You can play a little more the style you want, as opposed to have to play catch up or try to hit, 7-run home runs, right? Which a lot of people try to do. You try to do too much. So if you can get out early, you have that pitching performance that you had from Siskar, it's lights out every single time. I think for the Hurricanes, it's hard to beat a team when they do that, when they have that type of pitching performance, and they hit the ball at the right time. You still have to you got to be careful not to kind of sit back and be like, oh wow, it's this guy's throwing a gem. We don't need to do much. No, you need to keep trying to score runs. That's where they kind of, I guess, if you want to say failed. That's where they kind of didn't do great, right? They only scored 5 runs. But Siskar was so damn good that he got the job done. But I was impressed. That's an amazing Alabama team. Vish, you talked about it, right? The highest RPI SEC program that didn't get a regional spot. And they were really good. They've played Tennessee really hard. They've played a lot of the Florida Gators really hard. They played a lot of teams really hard.
We learned something about the SEC this weekend. So.
Oh yeah, right.
That I think what we learned is that there are it's baseball, right?
Right.
And so as you obviously talk eloquently about this as someone who's played at the college level, there's such fine margins in between the bad teams and the good ones. You're getting these regionals, that game ended with Mikey against the fence catching the ball. If it's another foot, we lose, and we're probably 0-2 and out of there because we had to play Southern Miss the next day, and they threw their first round draft. This thing unfolded great for us. They held their ace back, lost to Columbia, and then threw him against Bama.
And only beat Bama by 1, 6-5.
Yeah, but he's a first round pick, and so I would not have liked our chances of getting through that game if that Bama ball had gone over the fence. But then Monday night we had 2 that were caught in similar circumstances, so we still overcame it. And I'd say that was the story this weekend, was the resiliency. It wasn't always pretty. It was tough because you're playing good teams. This was a tough regional, right?
Yeah. A lot of people think of Columbia. They're like, Columbia, that's the best Ivy League program in the country. And they've
won games before. In fact, you'll remember this for some of our newer fans. You might not remember. They were in our regional and took us to a 7th game.
Yep. They beat us 3-0.
Yeah, they beat us on the Sunday night closeout. We had to come back Monday and beat them. They're capable of winning games, and obviously we taught them a little bit of a lesson on Saturday night, but once it gets going, but that's what you have to do against those teams. You got to get on them early and dominate. And obviously we had Griff, who was awesome as well in that game. But yeah, just real quick back to the Bama game. There was a lot of, that is a game where it tested your mental toughness, because obviously that there was that 2 outs. It looks like, all right, Walt's just going to shut the door. And there was that 13 pitch at bat. And then it resulted in an error. It wasn't a walk. He didn't give in. He made the pitch he needed, and then there was an error. Right. And now all of a sudden, oh crap, the tying runs at the plate when the game should be over. And then he walks him, and then it's like, oh no, but hung in there, made the pitch he needed. Yeah, Mikey had to catch against the wall, but that's the same thing as a strikeout. It's an out, and you get out of there. With that mental toughness there, and we saw it again on Monday night, which we'll get to towards the end of this segment. But like that, this team was just mentally tough. And as you said, I think one of the things, the run totals other than the Columbia game weren't great, but they did keep tacking runs on. Those mattered. Because they jumped out 3-0 on Bama, they tacked on more runs. That mattered in the end. You need that cushion. So yeah, I think they competed even when things weren't going well, and that made a huge difference.
I agree. What I did see from this team is that some of the other guys stepped up a little bit also. How great was it to see Derek Williams back in that lineup? First at bat, gets a base hit right up the middle. You could tell his rust was a little bit there against Alabama, but still made some nice swings. And then he got it going a little bit after that, right? You saw the bomb that he hit.
Yeah,
Against,
huge to get started on the right foot, Southern Miss. You get run out of off the field one night, come back. It's important to, like you just talked about, let's get that fast start, and him hitting that bomb while everyone else was striking out was huge.
I think, I forgot to mention to you this because we were talking about, that night we were talking about who are we going to start tomorrow. Like, I don't know. I don't know if we're going to start Reese. I'm not sure if he's the right guy. And in my mind, I'm like, I thought Reese was the perfect guy. And the reason why I say that is if you see, that's a type of team that likes to jump out on the fastball and likes to hit that fastball up in the zone and hit the ball out. Right? They had over 100 home runs this season. They can hit the ball. That's a good hitting team. Obviously, we saw it the night before. That night, I thought this is a perfect change of pace for that team, who's gonna now see a guy that his fastball is maybe 90 to 93, right? Still a pretty good fastball, but it moves so much. It's got so much dive. It's got so much, and whether he's struggled against some other teams or not, in the midweek, I felt like this was a good opportunity for him to come out and say this is a perfect matchup for Reese and what he does and how he executes his pitches against a team like USM. So look at CCH in the building.
Hey,
Okay,
CCH, you made it back, man.
okay, you made it back, man. All alive and well.
Are you actively in Miami, or are you still sitting in the New Orleans airport? I need to know.
Oh man, and look, and John mentioned also about Tate. Look, it was a terrible outing for Tate. There's no way to sugarcoat that, but I think he'll have a bounce back. I think he's fine. He's way too talented. He let the bigness of the game get to him a little bit, and as a freshman, sometimes it's tough, right? That's why you got to give it up to a guy like Siskar, who went out there in that first game against an SEC team and just shut the door, right? So I think that he's talented enough.
So you probably forgot this. We did actually discuss, not in the detail you just did. I'll own this. I think I would start Will Smith instead, and you're like, nope, start Reese. So you were 100% right. So you did actually mention that. So
and he balled out. He did
well.
I think it was the haircut too. He chopped off the locks.
He did chop. That was the first thing we did. Like, man, where does hair go? He got rid of the hair. But I will say one of the things that he did do, which was interesting, is I think knowing that he was not going to go deep, right? And he went, I think, 3 1/3. He was hitting mid-90s on his fastball, which he never does. Now, by the third inning, he was in the high 80s because he used his arm up. So it was a smart approach from him and a different approach. Because again, when he's pitching in the midweek, he's trying to get 6-7 innings, right. And so when he knows I got to go 3 plus maybe, but not really past that, he was able to come out there and he threw some heat, man. And we were looking at the gun and we're like, he just hit 95. We still throw 95.
95 was Jackson the night before.
Yeah, and then Jackson too the night before. And I think one of the things that happens in these regional settings is you're in these different roles. This game is the one that matters, right? It's not, if you're pitching Reese in the midweek, you're going to stick with him longer because you don't want to blow your bullpen in the midweek. So he knows he's got to go longer. He's got to dial it back a little. Even if he gets into trouble, he's got to keep pitching through it. This one, he knows, like, I just got to empty the tank because once I get into trouble, they're going to go to the pen because we got all of our levers set up. And that happened, and he pitched excellent. And then, frankly, the run he gave was a little bit of crap because he struck the dude out. And that's I don't know if we want to talk about the on Monday. His let's just call it variable strike zone. But man, alive, that was. So,
it was
unbelievable. We did strike out 55. Right. But
we'll talk about this a little bit because it does need to be brought up for sure.
Let's first talk about. So one of the things. So the Columbia game was kind of a walkover.
But hold on a second. How about that performance from Dorian Gonzalez?
Yes, those 2 homers and the home run on Monday and didn't make the
123 pitches from our Bulldog, from Griff. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah.
Single guy aside from him.
Yeah, and that again, all of this was leading up to. So yeah, Dorian. Because remember, the game was 4-1, and actually, Griff has not obviously gone that deep in games, but he tends to somewhere in those middle innings. And actually, they said this on, I think they said this on one of the broadcasts, but the fourth inning, for some reason, we allow more runs in that inning by far than any other inning.
That's crazy.
And we did it on Monday, on Friday's game. We did it on Saturday's game too. That was the one inning that they scored on Griff. So then they cut it to 4-1. And as you said, once Dorian hit that bomb, the 3-run shot after that, it was game. And then you can really, all right, now you just know, all right, it's Griff's game. Let's see if we can get us through this. We don't use the bullpen.
That was probably another thing we got to do is we got to give a shout out and a hats off to JD Arteaga, because I think this weekend he did an incredible job.
Yeah, and that's what I was building to, but I didn't. You're right. I kind of brushed past the Columbia game, but it was obviously a great performance by several guys that allowed. So I know on Sunday, we've talked a little bit about Tate got into trouble. So all of that was he allowed one run with less than 2 outs. Everything else was 2 outs. In fact, if you recall, and people probably forget this now, so the first out was the one where they fabricated that call and we had to challenge it. They said he somehow didn't control the ball when he tagged him with the ball in his glove.
Yeah, that already at that point I was like, this is going to be weird.
Well, that was crazy, right? So that was the first out. The second out was actually a double play where we challenged it. That was 1-0 game at that point. So we were challenging it to get off the field. We obviously lost the challenge. They then scored 8 runs after that. So, and I know everyone's like, JD's got to go get him. Jay's got to go get him. I defended JD on Twitter and got a lot of heat for that, saying, no, you blew this game. You handed it away. I was like, look. And we talked about this last week. And
in that game, it was great. It's perfect what he did.
Yeah, no. It's like, I was like, there's no
way.
He
was a shot to win, by the way. People don't realize that, right?
Yeah, we got back into the game, and that actually kind of bolstered what some people were saying, which is like, oh, if they'd gotten him earlier and kept it, even before the 3-run bomb that eventually took Tate out for, if it's 6. But my point was this. You're trying to win the regional. And we talked extensively because the Canes have not done – the reason the Canes haven't been back to the Super since 2016 is because they didn't win the first 2 games. At home, hosted twice, didn't win the first 2 games. And that gives you such an advantage. You win the first 2 games, then you just have to win 1 out of 2. The other team has to win 3 in a row. So, or 4 in a row if they lost the first game.
Right.
So they've got to win an extra game and play extra games. And so it would be idiotic to be in that situation where you're on your 3rd game, Southern misses on their 4th, you're already down. Like, let's say they pulled him when it was 6-0. It's already 6-0. And you're going to, blow all of your top bullpen arms?
Yeah.
Why would you do that? You're giving away the advantage you earned by winning the first 2 games. So he did everything exactly right there. It was expertly managed. And everyone was like jumping on him. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, everyone was jumping on him. He managed that perfectly. Because then you come into Monday and you're looking like, we got all of our arms here.
Yep.
And they're ready to go, and they delivered. And speaking of which, talk about transition. Look, I'm getting better at this. We got backstage. We got one of those arms.
We can bring him on, but real quick, talk about how well Jake Dorn did after not having a lot of appearances. He's struggled in the past, right? Getting one guy, he's had the opportunity to get one guy in a lefty-lefty matchup, walks the guy, he has to be pulled. So there's been moments where he struggled a little bit, right? Man, what a performance by Jake.
He was awesome, and he and Jackson Cleveland eating all of those innings was so huge. Because we had to start going, because again, we talked about this offline. I don't know if we talked about this on the show, but like there's roster restrictions, so we don't have all of our pitchers able to pitch. So like if they couldn't do that, that's why Degody came in there, got it out.
Hey, after the boys had fun with that.
That's why he was JD it was not JD not taking the game seriously. He didn't want to use another pitcher, so Degody at that point was the option. But no, without Jake Dorn and Jackson Cleveland doing that work in that game Sunday, you don't win the game on Monday. And that's the great thing about this weekend is like every single player stepped in and contributed in some way throughout the weekend, and that's how you get out of a regional. It can't be 1 or 2. You don't win a regional with 1 or 2 guys. You win it with the whole team.
Blue just said something. Will Smith is nasty. Yeah, say it to his face. Say it to his face.
What's up?
There he is. What's going on, man? How you doing, buddy? Good. Thanks for
Not much. I was listening to the Degody chatter. We're actually starting them on Friday, so
yeah.
we're, we're going.
I mean, Louisville definitely won't see it
Discard,
coming.
then Griff. We don't know.
He
Oh
won't
man.
they won't see that coming. That's for sure.
Yeah, right. That'd be something else. That would be something. We got Will Smith here on the show, man. Oh Jesus Christ! All right, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not talking about the hockey game. Uh, Listen, man. First of all, thanks for coming on the show. We truly appreciate it. I know you guys just landed recently over in Louisville, and you got a lot of things going on over there prepping for super regionals. But we definitely want to kind of get your thoughts. First of all, the first question we had was like, what did it feel like pitching in that regional over there? And your feelings. Look, we know you're an exciting guy. You're a guy with a lot of adrenaline. You're a guy that shows his emotions a lot on the field. Talk a little bit about how it was pitching is like those decisive moments in the regional.
It's awesome. I mean, we wouldn't have been there again without the stuff you guys mentioned with Cleveland and Dorn and just the guys picking stuff up throughout the weekend. But, I've said this on past interviews, but I've been in that championship game 3 times the year before, and I was just ticked off for the game, man. I was like, there's no way we're going to lose this game. Like, we just can't. It's not going to happen. And I told JD that, and I guess JD was like, okay, Smitty's ready to rock and roll. So he threw me in there and, just went out there and took every hitter like it was my last because it could have been.
It's funny you mentioned that this isn't your first time, but Coastal made super regionals as well. They kind of cruised through their region over there, and you were over there for a little bit. Have you been able to talk to the boys over there? Have they said anything? Have you guys gone back and forth? Because I know it's tough. Griff had Cincinnati in the regionals, and he talked to some of his boys. What's it like? Have you guys kind of talked back to each other or whatnot?
Oh yeah, they're fired up over there. They I was actually texting one of my buddies. They played that game the same night, the game 3 game for us. And I was like, all right, after we win, because we play after you guys, you call me. And he never called me. so that phone call waited until Monday. But they're fired up. I'm happy for them too. They deserve it. Schnall's a great coach. They got a great thing going over there in Conway. They deserve it, man. They work hard out there, and sometimes they don't get really the respect they deserve. So they're happy. We're happy. As if you're playing baseball still, you're happy.
That's a great word you said, respect. It's easy to kind of blow some of those teams off that are your mid-major teams and whatnot. That's a hell of a team over there in Conway. So good for that. I got to ask one more question, Bish, and then you can ask away. I'm a pitcher. I play college ball. I actually played in the same place that Jake Ogden got his start at. So probably for the same coach now that I think about it. But we all have our quirks. We all have our things that we do, our superstitions, our routines. You gotta tell. I love it. You gotta tell me what's that routine about. Once you get on the mound, you throw your warm up pitches, you kind of put your glove down, you walk out a little bit, you say a little something. Where did that all get started? What's that all about? I love it. I think it's really cool, and I think it gets people's. Especially like the hitters, away from the fact that now they got to face this maniac that's putting his glove down and do this and the other, right? Like, talk a little bit about that real quick.
It's actually kind of funny. Last year in the Sun Belt tournament, I came in against Southern Miss, and it was probably 100 degrees at 2 o'clock in Montgomery, Alabama. I'm drenched in sweat because I sweat more than anyone in the country, and I finished my warm-up pitches, and I was sitting there. I was like, oh, my God, I'm about to throw up. So I dropped my glove and walked behind the mound and just kind of sat there just trying to control my breath so I didn't throw up in front of everyone. And I pitched good that day, so I just kind of rolled with it, man.
I get it. Wow, that's so –
the story about that, when we got the double play and when they brought me in, after they were reviewing it, I didn't know they were reviewing it. So I walked straight in. I'm about to throw up. I go straight to the bathroom. I throw up. Somebody's banging on the bathroom door. Will you got to get back out there? They're reviewing it. And I'm like, shit. I'm like wiping off the throw up, going back out there.
That's intensity. It's funny, man. The whole broadcast, that's what they were talking about. Gabby Sanchez was like, man, this guy sweats. And I'm like, leave the guy alone. Yes.
Yeah, I don't know where I had to change hats in the middle of inning. So
that was awesome. Liz, what do you got for Will?
Yeah, no. So one of the things, I mean, obviously we've seen you play in person most of this year. Even when you're not on the mound, you're very engaged, you're very vocal. I can hear you.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't matter where I am in the park, I can hear you.
Welcome.
Yeah, you're definitely like one of the vocal leaders of the team. How do you balance that with then? Okay, now you got to go out there and pitch, and execute your pitches, and like you said, calm yourself down while still providing that energy, because you're definitely one of the high energy guys in the dugout that keeps everyone. I mean, we're playing road games, and obviously this is your first year in Miami. Like, I've never seen like the way you guys hype each other up and all that. There's great team chemistry, obviously. But you're kind of I would say the ringleader, or you and Griff appear to be at least. And so
Griff. I'll give Griff those rings too.
yeah. So like, how do you balance that? Because you do all that, but then you go out there and you execute. Now you're coming on runners on the corners, 1 out, tie game, and you get the double play to get out. How do you balance kind of like, all right, I got to provide this energy to the team, but also execute your pitches?
Really just, I mean, when I go into a baseball game, I think I flip a switch and I'm just like a different human. Again, if you saw me walking down the street saying let's fucking go, doing this stuff, it'd be a little funky. But I kind of flip a switch, and I've learned, I've gotten much better at that this year than my past years playing, and I think it just comes with experience and just kind of knowing how important each situation is, no matter what situation it is. You got guys behind you sitting there counting on you to go out there and give you a shot. And I think with our team being so close, I think it just makes it easy because those guys have your back.
It's funny, Vish, before you ask something else. You know this well. You see the movie For the Love of the Game, Vish, with Kevin Costner and John C. Reilly and all that, which, by the way, John C. Reilly playing an actual serious role as a catcher is crazy to me. But that's real. Like, clear the mechanism. That's real. We all do it on the mounds. And, my mom or my girlfriends used to tell me, "Hey, did you hear me cheering you on?" I'm like, I can't hear anything. I can't hear shit. I'm doing right down the mound. It's narrow. It's me and the guy at the plate. So I totally get that. It's getting out of that. It's getting out of that sometimes where it's tough. You're zoned in even when you're in the fence, and you can tell, like, you want to go to the corner. You don't want anybody to talk to you. You want everybody to leave you alone. So I totally get that. And I think, honestly, you do it best, the best out of his team, and it's hard to do that. It's also hard to get out of it. So it's funny how you deal with those pressure moments. Vish, what else you got going on there for?
Yeah, well, I'm not going to ask CCH's question, but
by the way, we have developed an incredible relationship with your old man.
Right? He's the man. He's the man.
Every time
sitting out there in Hattiesburg, you almost jumped the rail, got in a fight. There's a lot of stuff going on.
Okay, so never mind. I guess I will ask. I wasn't going to ask you about this.
I was going to ask you, but it's funny because we can't ever shake his hand. By the way, because his hands are always full. I'm not going to talk about what they're full of, but his hands are always full.
It got a little spicy.
He gives us a hug instead, and I'll take it, man. I love that.
Yeah, no, that's what I do in Conway, man. You hug people and you go out there and have a good time. So
that's it.
Yeah. Okay. So you were aware of that's what he asked me to ask you about, but you.
What do you think he gets it?
Yeah. No. So apparently it was defense. That's what we're going with.
Yeah. No. It got. I mean, look. As we were talking as you joined the show, well, on Sunday's game, we're just trying to get through it, keep as many arms fresh for Monday once the game kind of got away, and. Mikey was extended past how long he normally pitches, and he hit that guy, and they thought he did it. I'm like, you guys are idiots. He didn't do it on
back up breaking ball.
Yeah, exactly. Who's trying to?
Baseball, they're trying to hit.
So I always like to understand where people are coming from, and they played a game earlier. They'd probably been drinking since 11 a.m. And so by the time it's 11 p.m. and Mikey hits the guy, I think they were so far blitzed at that point.
Yeah,
they weren't thinking rationally. So I think
he could threw an underhand and hit him in the Evo.
Yeah. That guy is kind of like the Will Smith of Southern Miss, right? Russo. I like the kid. He was fiery guy.
Hey, there's no Will Smith of Southern Miss.
What's
that?
Funny
story. I actually played summer ball with him in the Valley League at the New Motor Rebels.
You see? Crazy.
Yeah,
crazy.
But so I think that was just alcohol late in the day. They'd been
100%.
We only had the second game, right? They had the first game, we had the second game. At that point, they were pretty far gone. But yeah, I wanted to ask you about one play in particular. So obviously, you come in, you get the double play, you're cruising, and then there was one play where they hit a ground ball and it kind of got through Renzo, and Dorian backed him up and flipped it to you. what's going through your head as you see that happening? And I guess just instinctively, did you just hustle over to first so you were there to make the play? Is that just
I think with all the PFPs that I've done in my 6-year career, I think it's just instincts to get over there. I saw it go off Renzo, and I was like, shit. And then I saw Dorian back there, and I was like, okay, we got him. Here we go. But just instincts, just always getting over. We yell it every day at practice. They make sure we yell it. So, there's no confusion there. So.
Thank God our boys are still doing some PFBs on them now. That's
we're doing them, baby. We're getting over, and we're saying, take it, take it, take it. I got back.
Looking forward. So did you guys kind of get? So what's your routine like now? We'll got a couple more questions before we let you go. Thanks again, man, for joining us. I know you got
for sure, anytime.
What's your routine like now? What do you guys got going on now before you get on the field on Friday to face Louisville for this 3-game series here?
So we landed probably about 3 hours ago, 3.5 hours ago. Came to the hotel, showered real quick, and then we actually got set up with some treatment center place that does infrared lights, ice baths, all that stuff. So we've been there for about an hour and a half. Honestly, I feel like a new human. So I think that was a good positive step for us there. We're going to practice tomorrow around, I think, 1:45 at their place, maybe. And then just getting a nice sleep.
1:45. It's 1:45 tomorrow.
Yeah.
The practice is open, so they sent us the info.
There's actually a really good question from John in the chat that I want to answer. Did you have any words for Tate after his rough outing that kind of keep him, in positive spirits? Because it's tough for a freshman to kind of get knocked around a little bit. We've all been there. So, did you guys have anything to say for Tate?
Yeah, I mean, we talked to him, man. It happens sometimes. You're going to go out there and you can get your doors lit. It's about how you pitch next time. I told him my story. We hosted a regional, the first regional that I played in. It was in Conway. It's where I'm from. Everybody I knew was there. I had 2 appearances, didn't record an out. So like it happens, man. And he's fine, man. He's a great player, great dude, great head on him. So he's gonna be all right.
You look at your boy chiming in here. So leave us alone, Jackson. Jesus, leave us alone. I'm just kidding. We love Jackson, man. He's cool.
Jackson's our guy, yeah.
He's awesome, man. Jackson.
I gotta ask you this because there's been let's be real, right? It's been an up and down season. And I'll tell you what, every time I talk to you, every time we message, it's like you're gonna see what we're gonna do. Let's go. We're ready. You're gonna see something different. Like it's unbelievable that it's been like that. Ups and downs, doesn't matter what it is. And a lot of that has to do with your head coach, right? JD, a guy that's taken a lot of crap this year, but he's also, he's also been there when things are getting good. He makes some great decisions. Had a great managerial game this past weekend as well. We talked about it a little bit earlier. Talk to me about your relationship with JD, the player's relationship with JD. What he means to this program. What he means to you guys.
I mean, I don't know if he'd want me to say this.
Without getting emotional.
You guys all have Twitter. You guys all have Twitter. Like we lose and he's getting bashed on, and then we win, and nobody's even saying like congrats or whatever. So the way he handles that stuff, we all see it. The way he handles that stuff, is second to none, man. Like you would never tell by talking with him or anything. So I think with him being able to do that, just kind of meshes off on us, man. Like what he talks about is true. We show up to the ballpark 0-0 every day and see what we can do that day. And just the players love him. I think every guy that's here would run through their hotel room door for him if we needed to. So just the way he's able to interact with all of us and really understand us, and you can feel the love throughout the entire clubhouse. It really changes everything, man.
That's probably my I'm in a hotel also, so we're all traveling. Somebody asked me, why aren't you traveling to Omaha? I'm traveling for work. Jesus. It's tough to lose your second season. Replacing a guy like Gino and a guy like 3 before that, Jim Morris. It's tough to ride. To come in here and then represent the team the way he has. And he's doing a great job. And we've rode him hard also here on this show. We constantly talked about some of the mistakes that he's made.
And that's part of the job. Everybody's in a good place. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'll say this. Well, because you mentioned it, right? Like, I think we try to be fair. And I don't. And our fans they're crazy, man. And we love them because they're crazy. But they are crazy.
If you're not crazy, normal's boring. Normal's boring.
No, it goes from one pitch is the difference between they're like, oh, we're going to Omaha to fire everyone, including like the grounds crew, and it's just like, all right,
no, 100%.
So JD grew up in this. That's why JD's so smooth with them. He's been around. He knows how our fans are. And that's just
100%.
That's just like they do it in my mentions too, as if I'm on the team. And I get that. Why did you fire? I'm like, I just cover the team first of all.
No, 100%.
If they start listening to me, they should be fired. So let's just listen.
JD is the man. This coaching staff has done a crazy job, man. Just the consistency of every day being a new day it changes the ball game, man. It does, because you're not sitting there, you don't have the hangover, and you're not too anxious for the next thing. It's literally day by day.
Well, I got to ask you something.
I was obviously there. I was at the press conference, the one on Monday, but the one on Sunday after the it's a loss, it's a tough. He articulated all those, like, we're going to reset. He talked about, one thing, obviously, when the game gets away early like that, a lot of people start coming in. It was 9-0 the first inning. And he was talking about, actually, when you're in the winner's bag, it's hard to manage your pitchers because you want to hold some back, and you have the ability to do that. And people just couldn't understand that. And then we get to Monday, it's like, look at all the pitchers we have now. Why he did it.
We're good.
And I think people don't understand. Like, he really was on top of everything there. And like you said, that calmness, it's so important in these regionals not to, because it's double elimination. If you let one game beat you twice, you're done.
You're done.
And so his calmness is very well suited to this part of the season. I think that showed up.
Yes, sir. 100%.
I gotta ask
you a little off the wall question from John here. Well, you don't necessarily, doesn't necessarily, I think he's talking about how you bring a lot of energy, but I guess we'll kind of fold this into, what's your pregame routine before you kind of head out there?
I wish I had the energy drinks I could show you. You go to those little sketchy gas stations that got the NOS with the spin-off.
Oh, man, you do that.
They fire me up. Fire me up,
man.
I mean, I could probably put that in my Chevrolet, and it'd probably run for 2 weeks. So I roll with that one. And honestly, you don't need an energy drink to be in our dugout, man. We got so much going on, all nonsense. If you're falling asleep, man, you might need to go to the hospital or something. Something's not okay.
Speaking of crazy guys, and we'll let you go here after this one. A good friend of mine that I've known for a very long time is Nick Soto. I've told you before. I was so excited to hear that he got the run at the beginning of the season. What's it like with him, working out with him, having him get to shape, kind of teach you a lot of different things on how to stay healthy and whatnot. And he's crazy, man. He's a genius.
Oh, he is.
What's it like being with Nick in the dugout and kind of working out with him and all that?
No, it's unbelievable. I mean, the people that come through our weight room during the off season, I mean, it just speaks for itself. We were working out with Manny Machado, Yasiel Puig, Paul Skeens came in there. So, I mean, just his resume behind you just gives you the trust that he knows what he's doing, man. Just shut up and do it, and you'll be all right. And I think in the fall, I mean, that helped me a ton. Nick Soto did. Made me way more explosive, just the different types of trainings that he does with the Olympic lifts and his thought process through it all. Really just, I mean, I'm a way better athlete now than I was when I first showed on campus, trust me.
That's awesome, man.
I'm not going to categorize it as athletic, but I'm more athletic.
More athletic. Listen, man, those pitchers are the most athletic guys on the field. Don't get it twisted. Right? Don't let anybody else tell you otherwise, right?
Here's probably a good question to end. Well, we know you might be a little bit busy this week. I don't know, maybe. But a good question to end it on. Just obviously you pitched a lot on Monday. How are you feeling? Recovery wise for the obviously you're one of our best players and key player. How are you feeling? And how's your energy? And how's the overall team's energy going into this?
We're ready to rock and roll, man. I will tell you, we were not much to do in Hattiesburg. Great place, great environment.
Oh, I know. I'm aware.
They had a zoo and a movie theater. So we kind of ran out through that in about 2 days. We were there for, I think, 7 days. We were there on Wednesday. So, everybody's excited to be here now. We're about to go get some dinner at like a nice little restaurant. So everybody's excited to be out, and we're ready to go rock and roll, man. everybody's mentally ready. You can just tell, man. Everybody can taste it a little bit. So everybody's getting a little excited, and we're gonna give them the best shot. We're gonna punch them in the face and
That's it.
roll with the punches.
Well, Blue says he's gonna toss you a nos when he sees you at the game.
There we go. There we go.
I put the compliance officer first, just to.
Hey, I'll post a picture. I'll be a Blue athlete.
Let's go. Well, thank you so much for joining us again, man. We appreciate it. It's been a long time coming. We talked about it a little bit, and I think it's the perfect time. We can't wait to see you guys in Omaha. I'm calling it now. We gotta go.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, I am heading out to Louisville tomorrow, so I'll see you out there. And,
Let's go.
I'm traveling.
Cardinals, man.
If not, I'd go to, but I'm traveling for work, which kind of sucks for me right now. But I'm in Tampa, so if you guys, you guys have fun. You guys go out there, stay loose, have a great time.
Oh, yeah.
That's what it's all about, man. And go kick some, go get some Louisville Cardinal ass, man.
Hell yeah. Vis, if you're there for the dog pile, man, come join. Screw it.
Woo! Just get up on there on the top like Chris.
All right, we all heard him invite me to dog pile, right? I will storm the field.
Hey, it's legal.
Do you see how GM he fakes that he's getting on the dog pile? He doesn't, and then he just goes crazy.
GM, hey, I looked up after I got on the dog pile and I had GM in my arm.
Gotta love that guy, man. That's awesome.
He's
all right, Lil.
All right,
hey,
well,
I appreciate you guys having me on.
Team.
See you soon, Vish, and we'll go get some W's here this weekend.
Let's do it, baby. Let's do it.
Yes, sir.
Hey,
What an
man,
awesome guy.
I love that guy.
I love this team, man. I need them to win.
And look, it almost feels like it almost feels like as he goes, like that pitching staff goes, that team goes, and he's not even like he's not one of the starters, but he's such an integral part. He's such an important part of that rotation, and those relievers that without him, I think that we're not in the position we're in. So a big shout out to him, and yes, Miss Cleveland, yeah, he is a very, very good human, but better human than he is a baseball player. That's saying a lot. So, which, by the way, speaking of that, where did Jackson come out of throwing 95 the other day? What the heck was that? Jesus Christ!
He's hit 94, 90.
I know, but I loved it. I was like, 95, shove it down their throat. I was excited.
I wasn't that like, man. So everyone knows like, Jackson's my guy, and having to sit in the press box while he's like mowing him down and celebrate and like pumped up and like not being able to react. I'm like,
I know. That's the part that sucks about being in the.
I know, being the press box.
Sure.
Justice and I took the stairs down to the press conference in the house last Wednesday weekend.
So we could scream at 96 soon again.
Yeah, there we go.
He was pumped up, and he had his curveball working. He had everything working that night.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think this was really a team regional win here. So now, looking ahead a little bit, Supers are a completely different format. Right. So wanted to get your take on some of the things from this last week and kind of how they feed into this. So first question, right? So obviously we have kind of two guys. We know we're going to start the first two games, but what order? Who are you going with? Who would you? Is it AJ or is it Griff? Because like they're both definitely going to pitch the first two games. But I mean, I don't think it's a wrong answer actually.
Do the same. I think you got to go with AJ again to start. And the main reason is not because I don't think Griff can go out there and do his thing, but he threw 123 pitches. Give him that extra day. Give him that extra day again.
Sure,
he's the guy on the staff. Believe it or not, he's the oldest guy, but he might have pitched the least per se, right? He was a two-way guy at Cincinnati. So he never, like you mentioned, Vish, right? He hasn't gone that deep into games before. He's thrown 100 pitches, but like he's thrown 100 pitches because he gets himself in trouble. And then he's throwing 100 pitches in the sixth inning. That's crazy, right? Like, so I think that don't change anything, man. Go with Siskar again on Friday night. Look, and let's be real about this too, Vish, right? They're not always going to have amazing games, but if you pitch well, pitch well enough, and this time you can use your bullpen a little bit differently because it's 3 games. That's it. So I think that JD will have his pitching staff ready to go. But I think that AJ game 1 is the right move. I think he's pitching really well right now. I think he's going to continue to pitch well. And just go with him. Just ride that same momentum, the same. Don't change much about what you're doing on when it comes to your rotation right now. I'd go him first and then Griff game 2.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it's a little bit different challenge for JD because it's not like last week, and he talked about this actually after the first game against Bama. He had analyzed the matchup and whose pitching style would match up better against Alabama versus what he thought would be. I mean, he didn't say this part, but probably thought would be Southern Miss in game 2.
Right.
And he thought, because he saw Bama struggled with a lot of off-speed stuff, which is what AJ throws a lot of. Griff throws gas. And so he's like, oh, that's probably a better matchup. In this case, the same team twice, so that kind of goes out the window. But what you said is definitely true. I think it probably makes sense to get a full week rest for Griff after he threw 120 plus pitches.
Yeah.
And make sure he gets as much time as possible to rest. Either way, you're throwing one of them in game 1, one of them in game 2.
And he's another guy, and Siskar does too, but Siskar is kind of a more even keel kind of guy. He gets excited when he closes out a good inning or something. But and you see he's constantly talking to himself on the mound. But he's a little more even keel per se than a guy like Griff also, who rides on that emotion and rides on that energy a lot and that adrenaline. So you want that kind of guy to be at full strength, 100%, because he expends so much of that energy on the mound when he's throwing the ball that I think that you want to make sure that he's a full go. So yeah, I would definitely do that.
But okay. Yeah. And then there's questions in the chat around. I didn't realize Marsh was not on the active roster this weekend, and I guess not sure if it was injury or slump. And then they can reset. It is limited. That's why we ran out of pitchers. And then CCH talking about maybe you take more bats because you don't have as many games. Like you're going to take a lot of your more pitchers. Yeah. They never released, at least to me, the 27. Usually the press we get, emails and explainers, and our SID is James is really good about that. I didn't see the active roster, so I was kind of guessing based on who was going in. I did not make that connection with Marsh, but that makes sense why he never got in because we kind of pinch hit everyone else. 27 players is not a lot when you're managing through through 5 games, potentially 6 games, right? So now 3 games.
Valera was out. Puig, I guess Marsh was also, and
Ariziaga wasn't there. And several of the pitchers too, like some of the freshman pitchers.
Lofgren also, I think.
Lofgren. Yeah. So okay.
There it is. Well, Ashton's in the transfer portal, so.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. So Robert's injured, so that makes sense. So I think it'll probably. I mean, Marsh is the only one I think we might see. The problem with that though is he has been DHing, and you do need backup infielders. So it's not you can't take the Goatee off because someone gets hurt and you have no one to play infield. So it might be Marsh again. I don't know though. We'll see. But I guess that leads into my overall question because obviously I don't know what JD is going to do with the roster. But would you make any? Let's talk about this because I think the guys we're talking about definitely not going to start. So would you make any changes to the starting lineup? And in particular, look, Fabio really struggled this weekend.
I told you, Fabio had the March. Fabio went through the March. Is going through the Bobby Marsh thing where I felt like Bobby Marsh for a time there was just kind of just lost at the plate and was a very easy out. I think Fabio is going through that right now too. The problem is that Fabio provides so much more. So just like Mike, now Mikey Torres, everybody's looking at Mikey Torres. He went 2 for 3. Yeah, I mean, what Mikey Torres brings to the table when he hits is that he's so fast, he's so quick, that those choppers that he's hitting, those crappy little hits that he gets, nobody else gets those because he's so quick. So it's hard, you can't really say much about that. But like for Fabio, he's swinging and missing, and he's guessing a lot, and it looks bad. But on the field, he dives and he catches everything, and he's out there doing his thing in the field. However, with the health of Derek Williams now, he was sliding into second base.
I think my assumption is that he can't play if he needs to.
And maybe try Todd Hutton, maybe Todd. gets a chance to DH, or maybe Bobby does come back and DHs, because if you get the Bobby of the first third of the season, you got yourself a crazy ass lineup. It's gonna be hard to stop that team. And it can happen. He's a good hitter. He just has to figure it out again. He got it together a little bit in that last series where he was able to get a couple base hits. So I think that it's going to be interesting to see. If I had to make a choice, it'd be switching out the DH and putting Derek Williams at right field, potentially to give maybe Fabio a day off. But it's tough, man, because right now what you're doing is working. Do you want to change too much? Do you want to really roll the dice?
Yeah, to me, a lot of it depends on, like, look, he struggled in that last game, especially. So it's kind of where do you think he is? I mean, the coaches will know. We're not in the locker room, right? Where do they think he is mentally? Is he ready to? Because he needs a fresh approach, right? Just like reset. Whatever happened, we advanced. Get out there and do your job. Like, we trust you. We believe in you. Go. You've done it all year. Go play like you play. And if they think he can do that and it's not in his head, then yeah, absolutely leave him in there. If they think, that it's got to him and he needs, sometimes you just need a day off too, just to mentally reset and like watch the other guys play a little bit. They think that happens, and I think you would get Derek into the outfield, and then probably DH Todd at this point. He only got one at bat this weekend. He struck out on that too, so that but he hadn't played also. He and Derek got injured the same weekend, so neither of them have played for more than a month.
Here's the biggest thing that we haven't even spoken about. We just won a regional, and Cuvée went 0 for 4. It had nothing to do. Well, he did have something to do, obviously, with that. But like,
he's the the regional MVP. Shout out to
that. Because how Adrian.
No, he was voted. He was voted regional MVP. He is the regional MVP. That was not.
Which is fine. I mean, it's fine. It is what it is. But Dorian not making it to the team is kind of weird to me. But
yeah, no, that was messed up. But
a little messed up. But yeah, you're right. I mean, Lewis is right. Like, he still had a couple base hits, a couple doubles. So yeah, I'm with you, Torres. I thought it was Dorian, but whatever. It is what it is. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he changed much. I think the only thing I would possibly do is add Marsh to the active roster.
Well, then who do you take out, though?
Maybe Kulikowski.
Kulo's been hitting okay, though. He's actually someone I would consider as DH.
I think it's a mirage. I think he got on base like 8 times in a row, and a lot of those were some walks, and he got some base hits that. Although the thing is that like any hit brings some sort of confidence to the guy at the plate, but I don't know, man. I think that it's probably the only one I can think of, because even Nolan Johnson got a nice little base hit in that game.
Well, yeah. So I think that the reason. So you got to also think about positionally, right? So if you're gonna, if you're pulling Marsh, and I know he can play in the outfield. He did before he was at Miami.
Right.
He's just a DH, so you're carrying an only DH player. I think that's probably why he was the odd man out. Because you're gonna want Todd on regardless, because if something happens to Renzo, Todd needs to play for space. So I think that's why you're going to see Nolan Johnson and Evan Taveras, because you never can have enough catchers. No, so
fine with that.
So
guys, who do you leave out though? Like, if you have to leave someone out,
I don't think you can. I don't think you can. I don't think there's a single arm that you're like, oh, we don't need. There's no. We're at that stage where there's no extra arms. He went bare minimum last week.
The only one I consider bringing in is Lachi.
I wouldn't do that. I don't think. Actually, you know what? Now that we're talking this through, I wouldn't touch the roster. I'm using the same 27.
Yeah.
Because you can't. The ones that were like, well, maybe Marsh could hit better than them.
The problem with taking Gabby out for Marsh is that you lose a right-handed hitter.
You got to understand the team dynamic. Gabby's a leader in that locker room. You absolutely cannot do that. That'd be devastating for the team.
I agree.
You cannot do that at all. That's not even an option.
Yeah, I agree.
No, that Gabby's got to be there.
So it doesn't expand; it just resets, right?
Yeah.
You can't expand the roster. You can
you can change it. I wouldn't actually change any of it now that we're talking it through, because you've got you need Degody in case and he can play all three of the infield positions other than first. You need Todd at first. You need all the catchers. You're not.
Yeah, like I said,
even if you take Fabio out of the starting line, there's no way you're dropping him off the roster.
No.
So there's no. I don't see how you can make. I guess even and the thing is, Kulikowski can play outfield. Like I think it's hard to if Bobby is potentially a pinch hitter, which is kind of what we're talking about. I don't think anyone's saying we need to start him right now.
Right. It's
hard when they can't play when they have not played defense this year. So I won't say he can't because he has before, but I think to me you just kind of leave the roster where it is.
Yeah.
And actually, so because if you start talking about we have to drop someone, I'm not touching any of those pitchers because I think every pitcher, we used was an important one. Like there is no telling that hey, we need a lefty out and you got to go Jake Doran, right? And Jackson's been kind of on the cusp of the rotation. Like he's kind of that next reliever when we have to go to one more guy.
Right.
But his stuff is right there. And so if you're gonna go and throw someone in situation, you want someone that can throw like he does. And so you're definitely not taking any of those two out. Everyone else is those are our top bullpen arms. So I don't really see any way you can delete a pitcher out. I don't think any of the field players either. As we talk through them, you need hey, that guy could be used in this situation.
Yeah.
And so I kind of leave it. I would say just leave it.
Yeah, I'd probably leave it also. I'd probably leave it the way it is. And but like I said, if I had to make a choice, Bobby would be in. For who I don't know. That's the tough part, right? So.
Well, yeah, and that's where it's challenging because all the other guys can play in the field. He's just a DH this year.
Yeah.
I wish we had actually now, 2020 hindsight, wish we had given him more opportunities to get in the field during the year, so that way you could say, well, he could do that. Yeah. But yeah, with carrying out's only a DH that's not your starting DH, that's tough. Especially sometimes you get into these long games. This is actually why weird stuff happens in the postseason that you don't really see happen in the regular season. With some of the things around okay, we're putting Degody into pitch there. Or, they'll put pitchers in the outfield sometimes because you run out of players because you're trying to manage a different roster. Where in the regular season, you have your whole team there. So you always have an extra freshman on the bench that can come in that's technically an outfielder or technically a pitcher that can come in and do something. But in the postseason, you run out. And I think you're seeing that, which is why Degody pitched. So I think it's hard to just have a DH-only player when he's not going to be the starting DH.
Right.
Frankly, if anything, I think if we see Fabio come out of the starting lineup, he's definitely not going to come off the 27 man. I think you would probably see Kulo in right field
to start.
Yes, I think I'm not saying I would do it. I'm just saying if he makes a move, I think that is the move he'll make.
Or Derek plays right, and then you can put Todd at first and DH Renzo, or
I think you'd DH Todd at that point. Yeah. And I think that would be the question. So first of all, Fabio is by far the best defensive player out of the ones we saw. So you're taking that off the field. So that's a huge negative. So if you're gonna do that though, then it's to your point. Who do you want Todd's bat in the lineup or Kulo's? If you want Kulo's, then you put him in right field and keep Derek DHing. If you want Todd's, you put Derek in right field.
I think keep riding this wave, man. Keep going.
Yeah, and I kind of want to see Fabio get that opportunity to bounce back. The freshman, these are important growth moments for him too. When you look at him and Mikey, that's the future of our program right there. And they are a little bit of maturing at the plate away from people that play us wondering where the hell they get these two guys. What a pain in the ass.
Yeah, that's what they are right now.
They're already there. They're almost there. They're almost there.
In the ass to play against.
Yeah, no, they already are in the field, and when I have total belief that their hitting will come around. And when it does, that's a pain in the ass to play against. They're covering half the outfield, and they get on base. And
those two can probably play and not start a left fielder, and they can cover the whole field.
Yeah,
that's how good they are out there. Yeah.
we're gonna blow past CCH there, and let's talk a little bit about Louisville. Actually, one of the things that to point out with Louisville, we'll kind of skip down the show notes here a little bit, but because it feeds in the conversation we had. So they've mixed and matched their starting lineup. I mean their pitching rotation, but their top two pitchers the last month have been righties.
Yeah.
So it does kind of lend itself to keeping those lefties in the lineup, and
if you're looking to finally get an opportunity for maybe some of these guys to get out of their slump, in Louisville, for how good they are, because it's a good team. They beat Vanderbilt twice recently, but they also have lost some critical games in the ACC and whatnot. Their pitching, for all intents and purposes, their pitching is probably not one of the better pitching staffs.
their pitching's worse than ours. That's
it's worse than ours. Well, worse is hard to say because we have a pretty damn good pitching staff from starters.
Well, no, I'm just talking about team ERA. Like they're below
team
us.
ERA is in the 5s, right, for them.
Yeah, no, but just in the ACC pecking order, they're slightly below us.
Gotcha.
Team ERA, we went through ups and downs too, just like they did. They finished 15-15 in the ACC. We finished 15-14.
Gotcha.
So I mean, it's not. Yeah, and so when you're about 500 in conference, you're gonna have ups and downs, and that'll pull your ERA average out. But yeah, just like I mean, they've I guess the big thing with them is so we know we struggle with lefties. I'm curious to see if they start because that Everly guy is their third star is a lefty.
Right.
He pitched the closeout game last weekend, pitched really well. Now, granted, they were playing Wright State, not Vandy, so a little bit easier to perform than if they'd played Vanderbilt. But they So I'm curious if they.
Tucker Bivens was supposed to be a really, really good guy. I think he looks like 4 starts and 20 appearances. Looks like a guy that might have had some issues with his arm. I'm not 100% sure.
No, he was coming out of the bullpen. He's actually their saves leader, I believe. But they moved him into the rotation. So the question, and those are
like what we did, but the opposite with.
Yeah, exactly. So Forbes and Bivin have been their top 2 starters last few weeks. I'm just curious if they look at our lineup and we've all seen us. We hit better against righties and lefties if they move Everly up. Yeah, but their best arms are their bullpen arms. They've got a couple of really lights out bullpen arms. And Schweitzer has been closing lately. So I guess he would be the guy to do that. But yeah, there's a couple of good bullpen arms. But to me, the thing that jumps out, and this is the concerning thing. They did all of their work at home. They are very hard to beat at home. They lost 1 home series the whole year. And they stunk on the road, but that's not relevant this week. So that's problematic. But yeah, that's how they end up 500 in conference. They basically lost all the road series, and won their home ones. Other than the last series, Wake Forest did go in there and beat them 2 out of 3. Very similar to us. They showed up to the ACC tournament because of the unbalanced schedule. Remember, Virginia was way up the standings because they played one less series, and so. Actually, Louisville finished 10th in the ACC. We finished 9th, obviously. They likewise showed up the first day, lost a pit, got the hell out of there. They definitely performed better than we did against Cal, but they showed up, lost the first day, and got out of there and got kind of that, which I think was a huge advantage for us and a huge advantage for them that week to mentally reset, physically get better, and not have to play all that baseball and just get a rest in the middle of the season, which is rare in baseball because this stuff doesn't stop. And so they came in and played really well last week. But yeah, they've been very up and down. They've won, they have some good series wins, UNC and FSU, both at home though. And yeah, Wake Forest is the only team that came in there and beat them. So we'll see. The one thing I do want to talk to you about. So again, a few things jumped out, right? Obviously, the home road splits are, given that we're playing there, and they're 27-7 at home this year. That's a good record. But man, they steal a ton. They have 172 steal attempts, by far the most in the ACC. 152 successfully. They are going to test Tanner Smith when they get on base. They are going to be very aggressive. Stealing. Any concerns that Southern Miss was actually the lowest, I believe this is the stat they said, the lowest steals attempt team in the tournament. So we didn't really have to deal with that. They did try to steal once on Monday, and we threw them out, but that's not their game. That is 100% Louisville's game. So, one, how do you think we'll hold up there with them putting pressure on us? And that's kind of a pivot type of thing. Like if we handle that well, it does short circuit their offense quite a bit. If we don't, then walks turn into doubles and, and all of that.
That's
stuff.
the thing, right? You got to pitch well first of all.
Yeah.
You got to limit the amount of times that they're on base. The pitchers have to do a good job of keeping them close. And the truth is, if Tanner Smith throws a couple guys out, then they start to be a little more hesitant about even if they are good at taking swiping bags. I better not hear anything about Tanner Smith being, sweaty or anything like that and not being able to grip the damn ball. You better throw some guys out. If not, it's going to be a long series because you keep getting guys on second base and they can manufacture some runs like that. It's going to be tough. We just got to – I think the biggest thing is don't let what happens on one side of the field affect the other, right? Keep hitting the baseball. Keep scoring runs. Keep worrying about that if you're on offense, if you're swinging the bat. And then just focus on executing when you're on defense. And it'll take care of itself. There's a reason why teams still beat them is because they can get them out. And you got to get people out. And you got to pitch well and score some runs. And that's it. That's all I can say there. I think it's going to be tough, but we'll be able to do it.
Yeah, I mean, Tanner Smith threw, I think, multiple people out this weekend. Definitely threw. I had a huge one on Monday night.
I remember the one, yeah, that skipped.
No, he threw the guy out on Monday night. That was a huge one. That was the first base runner they had off of Reese, and he threw him out going into second. When they tried to steal, like he's been very good away from home throwing people out. But Louisville is a different animal because they're just gonna.
You're gonna keep going.
172 is an insane.
Yeah,
that's more than 3 a game. Like
try to keep them off the base, man.
Yeah, you got to keep them off the bases, and Tanner's got to make them pay for it. You just gotta. Yeah, John's right. A whole runners on is key too. A lot of bases are stolen on the pitcher, so you got to hold people on. But that's just something to be aware of. They're very aggressive sending people, and it can be a little awkward to play against, but it's an opportunity to get free outs if they screw it up. So we'll see. John, to answer your question, the weather forecast frankly looks like shit. I expect some rain delays at points. It's not going to be a washout like sometimes in Miami we have these host weekends where it's like we're not going to start till Sunday because it keeps raining. It's not that. There's just pockets of rain, so probably be some delays in and out, but I don't think there'll be like a doubleheader at any point this weekend. I think they'll get the games in on the days they're slotted for, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's pauses for rain delays. And and then actually we call it a rain delay. The rain doesn't matter; it's actually lightning, so you never know. If it's just raining and not lightning, then they keep playing. So, fortunately, Miami boys are used to wet weather, so they'll be well ready for that. So not too concerned about that. But yeah, I would be surprised just on the forecast I've seen if there is no delay at some point this weekend. But it doesn't look like a washout situation where it's just like continuously raining and you never get out there. So
good.
They should get it in. Yep. All right, Jess. Anything else you want to break down here? Are we doing predictions? What are we doing here? There's no milkshake to guess, so we can't do that. You can't end the show with that.
Are we doing predictions? Because we already know we're both going to pick, right? Is Miami making that?
Yeah, there's no freaking way. I was picking Louisville. Go against the family. I'd rather be wrong and pick Miami than be right and pick Louisville. So
correct.
Answered that question. Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see. It should be fun. If the pitching holds up and they do their job, we take it in 2 for sure. So we got the better pitching.
Actually, you know what? We skipped through. Luis has us as 2, and we skipped through one question. So if it gets to a third game, who do you start?
Still start Tate.
Okay.
I would still start Tate.
No hesitation from our man Jazz there. He's locked in. That's your rotation. You ride with it.
Start taking and keep going. Yep, that's it.
Yeah, I think the huge difference would be, and Blues got Miami wins 2-1. There's no long leash on that game. When you get to game 3, it's
Johnny Holstaff.
Yeah, what happened last week wouldn't happen again. They would get him out of there.
Right. Yeah.
But he's had several big pitching performances this year, so
I think he'll be all right. He'll bounce back okay. So.
Yeah, he's pitched well all year, so. All right, man. Well,
we'll see you guys.
Yeah, next week. So we will have. So for those of you that are new here, I know it's an exciting time in Canes baseball. We do shows Monday, so we will. There will not be a Canes game on Monday this time, so we will be back on Monday. Actually, our football show, if you're interested in that, is at 8:30. This show will be at 9:30.
Right.
Hopefully, we are previewing. Yep,
podcast.
Previewing Omaha, man. We're close. We're this close.
I hope so, man. Follow us on Twitter at Canes on Deck. Also, subscribe to the 5 Reasons Canes podcast, wherever it is that you get your podcast. And we'll be back, like Vish said, on Monday to talk hopefully Omaha. That's the goal. We'll see what happens. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you to Will Smith for coming on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Will's awesome.
And we appreciate all of you guys, and we'll see you guys soon. Go Canes.
Yep. Go Canes.